chasing an opportunity my entire life, and it got taken away from me because of a major death in the family. I was lost. So I literally just started applying at every job possible. I think at one point in time I had 3 different jobs. I didn't sit in that moment and think so much about it that I failed. I actually thought less about it and put more action in place, so I succeeded. When your back's against the wall, what other choice do you have? Come out swinging.
If you could tell 2018 Nick one single piece of advice, what would it be? What's going on, guys? Lucas Jensen here, back with the Forward Thinking Podcast. Today's episode 31? 31, something like that. Yeah, bro. We're rolling, man. We are rolling. Today we got Mr. Nick Weissman with Make It Happen Painting out of Florida. Nick's a beast, man. Like I got some really cool things to share, and I know Nick has a lot of cool things to share, so I'm super excited for this because Nick's got like this crazy story where just a few years ago, he was a painter in another company. And since then, I think earning like what, $16 an hour painting. And then Nick's now just leveled up. And I mean, he's crossed already over $1 million this year. So, and that's just in a very short time period. And that's just a reflection and testament to Nick as a leader. So guys, let's give a big warm welcome to Mr. Nick Weissman. Let's freaking go, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Sick, dude.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, for just to give you, like, everyone here a little bit of a backstory, Nick. So you were painting. It was with was it with Tanner? Was that the first painting company you worked with back in the day?
First ever, besides painting my own room with newspaper on the ground. Yeah, first real painting company.
I love that, man. I love that. So you've been childhood like best friends with Tanner, right? So
Yeah.
how did that whole conversation kind of come into fruition, and what was it like leaving the company? Because it's someone that you were friends with and still are friends with.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'm actually gonna go and start my own. Like, it's got to be this bittersweet moment for Tanner, right? Because it's like it's one of his best friends is starting his own thing, which is great. But
Yeah.
it's like also you're a beast and you're leaving the company, which is always a bittersweet moment. So, dude, like, how did that whole conversation of like starting in painting kind of come into effect?
Yeah, so takes me back to why I do all this too. I we'll just get it out the way early. I mean, I lost my mom in 2015. Um and so but prior to that, I mean, my entire life was surrounded around football and sports and trying to make it to the league, everybody's goal for football. So and I was blessed to get scholarships to go to college and things like that. But when you have something that big happen right in the middle of that transition from like, I'm going to high school, I'm getting ready to go into college, I'm getting ready to start this career that I've been working my ass off for my entire life. And then you lose the glue to your family. That passing put me in a world of being lost. I had no
Mhm.
clue what I was going to do next. Doing things, acting ways I never would have. So long story short, I pulled out of college. I was not focused. Again, like I said, I wasn't operating as Nick. So I came home to be with family, be closer with them, mourn doing all the grief with the family. But the one thing I've always had is hard work, the work ethic. So I literally just started applying at every job possible. I think at one point in time I had 3 different jobs. I was working early mornings, midday, and then late nights as a bartender. So I was doing a little bit of everything, and I was just always chasing the better opportunity. And being that I grew up with Tanner, obviously he knew my mom, and she was a mother figure to him. I'd seen that he started a painting company, and we just always chit chatted from time to time. And from what I can remember, it was just a conversation of like, "Yo, Nick, uh, if you want to make some extra money, do you want to come out this weekend and help us paint this house?" And it was a very odd, question because at the time, I think he texted me this when I was a car salesman at Ford. So I'm like trying to chase selling cars, and then I get this message, and I'm like, sure, I could use a couple $100, so let's go out and paint. I never painted in my life. Um, so that's what started it. That was the conversation. I went out there. I he put a brush in my hand. He told me to hold it at 10 o'clock and at 2 o'clock on how to cut a straight line. And honestly, the rest is history, man. I had an eye for detail, and I was just a good painter. I took instruction well. I did what I was told to do. And it all started there. I was presented then an opportunity with him where he was like, look, what does your finance look like? What do you need to make? What's going to make you happy? And so we discussed that. I quit all my jobs, like literally all of them, and just went in full time with him. Started at the bottom, worked my way up. That's literally what we did. So that was the initiation of the painting industry for me. And I'll never forget it because he also put me on a job that was like, I know why he called me out there now, because it was one of those hard jobs that just like customer was done with them. They were ready to get it over with. They needed the help. They needed that push to like close it out. And so it was a good experience, but I jumped right in and I never looked back. So that's what started it. That's where we all began in the painting world.
Love it, man. So that was in 2015, 2016, you said?
Roughly around that time. I think it might have been like a year after, so probably like mid to 2016 or something like that.
Mid 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom passed July 31st of 2015, so I probably came home and spent some time with the family, started working some jobs. Might have been a year and a half. I really can't quite remember that time frame, but I know it wasn't too long after that.
Yeah. Okay. So you got into the painting there, and then like when did the idea pop in your head of like, what? Why don't I start my own thing? Like when did that kind of start festering in your mind?
Honestly, this is where I give Tanner a lot of credit because I didn't really like. Again, it's been in my blood to always like want better and do better. But I don't know if I quite had a moment where I was like, I want to go start a painting company. Because the funny thing is, I left his company and I didn't start a painting company right away. I actually was like, look, I don't think we're gonna I need more money. It was always like, I need more money. I need to find where I'm gonna make more money. Because I came from an upbringing of parents who worked their ass off and worked check to check. And I never wanted that. I was so tired of that. So it wasn't a moment of like, I'm going to go start a painting company. It was more of a mentorship, a real genuine friend that just cared about like what my life looked like and what I wanted to do and what was going to help me be in a better position. So like I said, I left and thought, oh, I'm going to go be a blue collar worker and work for an electrical company. And that wasn't the case. I left there. Yes, I was making more money, but I ended up working twice the amount of hours. I was working 70 to 80 hours a week. Some people who are listening probably heard that in Hayden's, podcast. Like I literally dropped that. A great friend, a great mentor. There was no bad hard feelings on that. He always has inspired and pushed me to do better and find better. So the moment was actually when I left. I get this new job and I said to myself, this isn't it. When is it? When am I ever going to be happy? When am I going to find that thing? And so driving hour and a half one way to this new job, early morning, 4:30 in the morning, you got to imagine what that's doing to my brain and how much time I have to just think 3 hours of driving every day. And I'm going, this ain't it. This is not, I'm beating my body up. I'll be broken in a year. And I was working with a guy who I wouldn't shut up about painting. I wouldn't shut up about, maybe I should just go start a painting company. So that was like the moment, like it kind of just clicked in my head of like, okay, I finally learned a trade. I knew what to do with my hands. Because before it was just football. I just played football all my life. So that was like kind of the turning moment of like the thought. And then when it went into action was just, I was so fed up with working this job, grunt work, and not getting the hang of it. Like there was things they were teaching me there that I was like, I just can't figure it out.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm a smart guy. I can't figure it out. I don't know how to operate this machine, but now I know how to operate $1 million company. It's really weird. Um, so one day I'm just driving home with my foreman at the time, and we had a quick conversation about like, I think I'm gonna do it. I think like it's keeps calling me. I said in the other podcast, like I kept getting calls back home because I'd post little videos and like statuses about painting houses. Like, does anybody want their room painted? So I started the little side job thing. And then that is what really blew it up and like created the vision in my head of like, well, I already know how to paint. I've kind of given some pricing a little bit. I'm sure I can figure that out. I knew nothing about marketing at the time, but I was just like very old school. Like, just go tell people you know how to do this and see if you can do it. So at the time, like was saying, I lived in Tampa, hour and a half away from where I currently live now. And I kept finding myself back here at home, here in Citrus County. So, here I am again. I'm driving. It's the weekend. I'm driving an hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half. And I'm like, man, I'm so sick and tired of driving everywhere. Like, I need to figure out what I'm about to do with my life. So that was the decision. Made the decision again. I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not working this electrical job. I can't do it. I got my first job painting my brother's parents' house down in Tampa. Did a great job. She referred me to another friend. Did that job. She referred me to somebody else. Got that job. Then started posting it. Then I started getting real traction back here at home. So that's the moment. That's the turning point of like, okay, I'm gonna go do my own thing now.
I love it, dude. I love it. Now, some of the best business owners I know were like ex-sports players and like competitive sport players, Um, because it's like, dude, I feel like every business owner needs that kind of competitive bone. And even if it's not competing with, other companies, it's competing with yourself to get better and better and better and better and better. So dude, I love that you have that sports background. But let me ask you this. Like going from painter to business owner to successful business owner, like you obviously run into a lot of obstacles. Like what are some like the biggest obstacles that you've run into in like scaling this thing?
Hmm. Um, I feel like I said this in the other podcast call as well, that like I really sit here and think hard about what was that big thing that like I ran into, but I don't think I ran into like that big thing. And
Hmm.
two reasons why I don't feel that way. One reason is because, like I said, I don't allow my brain to think it's this big issue. The second thing is because it felt like a lot of small problems. It was a buildup of a lot of small problems that just, again, I just powered through and powered through and powered through. Um, but going from, if I had to go back to like being a painter to starting a company, the biggest, scariest thing in terms of scaling from a painter to a business owner was, of course, like, can I keep this going?
Yeah.
How in the hell am I going to produce my own dollar? Um, and I just, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I didn't sit in that moment and think so much about it that I failed. I actually thought less about it and put more action into place, so I succeeded. Um, and that was just because like when your back's against the wall, what other choice do you have?
Come out swinging.
Come out swinging, and that's relates to competition, sports, everything I already knew. So that part was actually very easy for me. Um, Some of the real challenges, though, really came when I had to start managing people, leading people. Because you really think you know a lot about yourself until you got to preach it to other people and lead and hold each other accountable.
Amen.
Um, People who don't have that background that I do, it's different when you're on a sports team and everybody's vision and everybody's alignment is kind of the same. You might have 5-10% of the players that are just there to put a jersey on. but we're all mainly striving towards the same path. So it's kind of easy to lead in those atmospheres. Here it's like, you know, I had to, I'll always remember the first couple hires I made because it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And looking back now, 4 years later, I'm quite embarrassed because if I had that type of employee in somebody's house now, it'd be a 1-star review all over the board.
Mhm.
You know, um, those were scary challenges for me. Okay, I got this guy, he's helping me, but he ain't helping the image. Okay, I got this guy, I think he's helping me, but he's not. He's actually slowing me down. He's doing a worse job than, I would do. Those were like the little micro challenges for me was learning how to hire and find people like me. Um, and so I started to figure that out. Then it became like, okay, I was pricing fairly because it was for me, but now I got to price how I price a job for me and 2 families, and that was like the second, hurdle for me. And again, thankfully enough, man, I cannot thank Tanner enough for all the things he has done because without that guy, bro, I would have succeeded, but I wouldn't have gotten where I've gotten as fast as I have without that guy right there.
Yeah.
Because all the knowledge, all the softwares, all the things he did, I mean, he's 3 years in, I'm 2 months in. He's 5 years in, I'm in my year. So it's like I just like we talk about all the time, you learn from coaches, you go to these events, you quickly learn from all these other people's experiences and whatnot. And to have somebody like that in my back pocket that is such a mark in this industry, like it's unreal,
Yeah.
And I don't talk about it enough because I don't know. I'm just like I'm very grateful for it. Not a lot of people had that. And so I love all these podcasts. I love all these events because it gives people that resource,
Yeah.
you know.
100%. Yeah, dude. Hey, real quick, before we get back into the video, if you are running a painting, an epoxy, or a concrete coating business, and you're saying to yourself right now, Lucas, I am done playing it small. Lucas, I am hungry and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to scale my business this year, then listen up. If you want my team and I to help you fix that, if you want more qualified leads into your sales pipeline, if you want more high intent appointments into your sales calendar, and if you want more high ticket jobs, shoot me a quick text at 602-833-5079, and I will personally reach out and set up a game plan to help you turn your yearly revenue into your monthly revenue and help you dominate and scale your business right now. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to helping you scale your business this year. Let's go. Man, I love Tanner. He's just such a genuine dude, and uh, I think it was maybe 2 years ago I went through like a really tough personal situation, and he was one of the only people in the industry that was there for me. Like just continuously checking up on me, continuously checking up on me, continuously checking up on me, just like giving that support of just like beyond just a partner in the industry, beyond just he was a friend, and um, I don't think he gets enough appreciation,
No,
and
no.
he's just a genuine dude. So
That's it.
shout out to Tanner.
Shout out to Timo.
Yeah, but so the obstacle for you was the mindset of switching of like, hey, like I need to make $1 for me to now I need to make $1 for me plus my team's family plus this plus that plus, so just kind of the continuous increase in price, and overall when you increase price you also need to increase the skill of conviction in the sales process and the
100%.
production to ensure that you're fulfilling what you promise and all these other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I think that's a continuous learning thing, and you know what they say is growing a business, really what it comes down to is just it's one big self-development game where you just happen to make money from it.
100%. Yeah, a lot of that with pricing increase. Like I remember a time early in where I thought to myself, I said, "Oh man, I'm finally pricing jobs like the rest of the industry." And I'm like, I almost felt like a ripoff because I'm like, how do I even deserve to charge somebody that amount of money? And I just started. but you know,
It's kind of like
qualities
a
behind it,
yeah.
the
It's kind of like a
confidence of knowing that, like, no, I came from a company with high standards. Just because I started this company and I just got this LLC and I'm new, I get it. But I
Mhm.
promise you, at the end of this job, you're going to be very happy. You know,
Dude,
so
I think that happens. It's like almost like an imposter syndrome,
yeah,
right? Of especially at the start of like, hey, I came from this great company and I'm trying to bring that level of standards into this, but I don't have a huge company with all these different, and so it's like I think we all go through that like level of imposter syndrome at one point or another,
yeah,
So that's one thing to overcome too,
yeah.
100%.
Oh, I got plenty of stories for that.
So dude, scaling this thing, obviously it's scaling any business is no hard thing or no easy thing, sorry.
Yeah.
And you always encounter these different things and it's like as you grow, the issues in your business also grow, right? So it's like the issues you experienced at 100K per year are way less stressful than the issues you face at $1 million a year. And then the same thing at $10 million a year. And when you're at $10 million a year, you're gonna look back at the issues you have at $1 million a year and be like, dude, what I wouldn't give for that to be my biggest issue right now. You know what I mean?
Dreaming about it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I know we were talking a little bit beforehand, about like the issues, like continuous things that just keep coming up, and it's something from in the Bible that says you can't be a victim and a victor at the same time, right? Of just like I'm going through these issues, amazing. This is like literally what I prayed for. You know what I mean? I can't be telling I'm way too full because my plate's full when you ask for your plate to be filled, right?
All right.
So, dude, I love that. But you mentioned like when you were in the electrical job, you were trying to find that thing, find that happiness. Have you found that yet?
Yes.
At what point did you realize like I found that? Because that's such a beautiful thing.
When I got off the tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was that
That
like?
was
Walk me through that.
because that was like something very hard for me, and I think for plenty of other people listening to this that go through the same thing, to really really digest what that means.
Mhm.
You know, there are so many moments where I was like, yeah, I'm off the tools, I don't paint. But then Tanner called me a couple days later, what you doing, bro? Uh, I'm I'm at a job. What are you doing there? I'm finishing up some paint work, you know. And then he called me the next day. What are you doing today, bro? Oh, I'm in the office, man. I'm doing good. I'm handling paperwork. You know, I'm doing CEO stuff. You know, and it's like you really don't. I really didn't find that like happiness of 100% being off the tools, 100% knowing I could leave here tomorrow, go for a vacation. Like they talk about the fishing test, you know, leave for, a week and come back and the business still operated. Yeah, sure. Maybe some things came up and that's great. I actually love going on vacation because I find other little things that I'm like, okay, let's find a system for that. Um, but that was like my real happy moment because the whole point of me starting this business is to find more freedom to be able to do the things that my family didn't get the chance to. You know, I mentioned my parents working their ass off and getting, you know, pennies of a check and it's all gone in 24 hours. Having to work another 40-hour week, 50, 60-hour week and rinse and repeat. So knowing that one, I had issues in the beginning that we just talked about how am I going to feed two families to then growing a business, having 10 employees now, and being able to step off and not have to touch a paintbrush. Estimates are still flowing. Estimates are still being sold. Paint is still being produced. You know, guys are happy. The culture's good. Like that's a full circle. Like I'm happy. Is it ever going to be good enough? No.
Mhm.
You know, and no entrepreneur is ever 100% satisfied.
Yeah.
Um, but that's part of scaling. That's part of growing and wanting more. But when you ask the question, are you happy? Like, yes, I am. I can 100% say I've reached a point in business where what I've created has made me happy.
I love
So
that, dude.
yeah, 100%.
So it was really kind of stepping off the tools and seeing your team operate while cash is still coming in. You're focusing on things you might enjoy more. Like, I don't know, some people love the craft of painting, right? So stepping off the tools for that is even harder, you know. But
Yeah.
I believe that the benefit of entrepreneurship is you get to a point you can invest in people to do the things that you don't like to do. And even better, find people that enjoy doing the things you don't like to do. Like for us, dude, we just brought on a talent acquisition specialist and also like kind of like a hybrid of HR. Because, dude, I despise actively hiring and interviewing and doing all these things because it's like it's very high energy, you know? It's like you got to bringing someone into the company, it's a big deal,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
you're trusting someone with your baby, you know? So it's like as you keep growing and having to bring in more people and higher level people to take on even more responsibilities, it's like it's a very energy consuming thing and I despise it, right? But the benefit of doing the business, owning a business is you can hire someone to do something that you despise and they're really good at it because they love it and they'll do way better than you ever could. You know what I mean? And then you can just focus on the things you love to do, right? So if someone loves painting, I mean, that's maybe something you shouldn't delegate as quick as something else you don't like, right? Like if someone hates sales, delegate that, right? You'll find someone who loves doing that will do it way better than you'll ever do it. And you just focus on doing the things you love to do because you're probably pretty damn good at them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that we talk about that subject because, even though that was a happy moment for me transferring to a, quote unquote CEO of the business and not a owner operator, um, is that I absolutely love to paint. I absolutely love taking something from crap to whoa.
Mhm.
Like part of a reason why I brought cabinet refinishing into my business because I just felt like it was way more of like a craftsman type of job that needed to be done. So I think that helps with like why it was such a good moment for me because you take something that you're so proud of to let go of, which is like I said, it's funny because I delegated that really quickly. I mean, I only worked in my business as a full-time painter without any employees for 10 months. So, I produced however many jobs in 10 months and realized like I can't do all this by myself. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it at that time. It was that I needed help because then I started thinking as a business owner, like, okay, well, we can produce one and I could probably go start another if I had two guys that can get finish this one. So letting go of something that I really started to enjoy, it was hard. I mean, if you asked me 5 years ago, do you enjoy painting? I would have told you I don't even know how to paint, you know. Um, so that was tough, but I've just realized along this journey that like I'm falling, they talk about falling in love with the game, you know, and I'm falling in love with some of these other tasks and roles that I have to put on every day. It's a different hat, you know. And so every day I have to fill this position. And the most current one is that, we hired a sales guy and that was so hard. Like you said, giving your baby to somebody, giving this machine that produces 8 other painters' families and their, that was scary.
Yeah.
But now being on a podcast, sharing my story, doing Zoom calls with all my marketing companies, doing job costing, doing all this like back end CEO level tasks that I'm still not great at. I'm just learning, but I'm falling in love with it. That's what it's all about. That's what's part of the whole scaling thing. And so even though that was hard to get off the tools, but it made me happy, I keep stepping into other roles that are just continuing to keep me happy.
I love that. Dude, you know what I love about you, man, is I can tell you could tell where someone's hard at by what they speak about, right? And you know how many times in this podcast already you've mentioned my team's family, my team's family, my team's family. It's like, dude, you're doing this because you genuinely care about the people in your organization. You're
Yeah.
not doing it for a check. You're doing it for the people. And I love that about you, man. Is you got such a great heart.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't I'm proud to be that guy because I know it, I do own that. Uh it's hard for me to hear anything else, if you really think that I'm not in this for my family and for other people's family and to give back and to create opportunity. Listen, you got to understand, I was chasing an opportunity my entire life and it got taken away from me because of a major death in the family. So when you lose something that's so important to you, you definitely learn how to never let go of something again.
Yeah.
So everybody asks why you do what you do, what's your passion, blah, 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 blah. Where's the fuel to your fire? That's what it's all about. And I don't know how to be any other guy. I don't know how to act. I'm not an actor. I'm just me, and I think that's what's helped me do what I've done, reach the success that I've reached. And again, like I told the last people, listen, I'm just getting started.
I know you are, bro.
Pretty scary.
Yeah. Okay. What was the name of your mom?
Jane.
Jane.
Yeah.
Jane would be proud of you, dude.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Of course, man. Of course. Yeah. I know it's never easy. I mean, thank God I have both my parents, but I can only imagine what that's like. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's got to be tough. But I believe that, if someone passes away, you only really lose it when people stop talking about them,
Yep.
right? And as long as you're still talking about Jane and things like this, then she's still there with us.
Always, man. There's a reason for the tattoo on my arm. I got a dove on my arm, and that's because 2 weeks after, maybe a little longer than that, but very shortly after the passing of her death, where she passed away in my backyard, in the pool. Like I could tell you the spot to this day if I went back to the house. I actually left for college to play ball, and I had 2 older brothers, and they were still back at home. And I had received a picture one day of a white dove bird that flew into our backyard and landed in that same spot. And that bird just sat there right on the ledge of the pool, didn't move. And that was a moment, like, for all of us, that we knew she came back to remind us that, like, everything was okay. And so, I put that on my body because I'll never forget that moment. I felt like that, that's a part of her that will always be in me, you know. Um, so it's a lot, dude. I mean, I just it's such a hard thing, but I just have taken it in such a great path, and again, like I said, when my wife Kayla, she always is asking these questions. Like she always thinks I'm fake about certain things because she's like, this just can't, it just isn't real. Like, are you really this perfect? And nobody's perfect, right? I'm not saying that nobody's perfect, but it's just when you really act with pure, genuine characteristics, like you're not faking nothing. It's so hard to be somebody that you are not. So why try to be somebody you're not?
Yeah.
And all that was, I give Jane, my mom, all that credit because she raised me that way. She's very soft spoken. She's very patient. She's kind. She was the person that lit the room up, Um, and no, I didn't realize this until after. I was 19 years old when I lost my mom. So fast forward 11 years, I'm 30 now. You ask my employees, you ask my friends, you ask my wife, I'm the same everywhere. And that's just because of who she's raised me to be. I don't have the time to be anybody else.
Yeah.
And I want that same safe place for everybody in my life, everybody in my business, my customers, my employees, my friendships, relationships, marriage, my kids, all of that. And it's easy to me because that's just be genuine. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big part of me, man.
I love that, man. Yeah, and I think that the genuineness comes from the authenticity, like you were saying. Dude, it's so hard to fake things, and when you do fake them, people just see right through it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking with one of the speakers at PaintCon, and they were like, originally they were going to talk about this and like scaling sales teams and this and that and whatever, right? And he was going through some like really tough stuff, and he's like, dude, like, I'm having a hard time like building a presentation around this. And I'm like, bro, like, forget all that. Tell them what's going on in your life right now, because like, odds are someone's going through the exact same thing, or someone has, or someone will in the future. Like, that you can't fake, oh, my company's so great and everything's so freaking rainbows and sunshines and everything, but then deep down, it's like, that there's shit going on, there's stuff happening. You have all these personal things coming up. It's like, lead with that, just like authenticity, and just be real about it. If shit's going on, just embrace who you are. Don't try to
Yeah.
put this front on social media or on stage or any. Just be yourself. And the beauty is, we're all different people. We all have different stories and different roadmaps, and I think people aren't pushing their own narrative as much as they should be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's some people take it differently, but like being real, like it's the best thing in the world. That's, this might lead into Andy Elliott stuff. Like, he don't give a damn about what people think about him. I don't give a damn about what people think about me. I built this. I'm doing this for my purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. People get that misconstrued for being cocky and not humble, and it's not. You take it that way because you're a hater, and that's okay.
Yep.
So, that's the easy part for me. And I'll never change that, because I get more respect from that.
Yeah.
I tell my employees the same thing. Like, don't be this person you're not. If you don't know how to do this, tell me. Don't act like you know how to paint. We can teach that. I want to know who you are as a person, because I can't teach that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, it translates to everything in life. It ain't just personal. It's not just business related to everything. So
100%. Yeah. Hey, real quick, before we get back into the video, if you are running a painting, an epoxy, or a concrete coating business, and you're saying to yourself right now, Lucas, I am done playing it small. Lucas, I am hungry and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to scale my business this year, then listen up. If you want my team and I to help you fix that, if you want more qualified leads into your sales pipeline, if you want more high intent appointments into your sales calendar, and if you want more high ticket jobs, shoot me a quick text at 602-833-5079, and I will personally reach out and set up a game plan to help you turn your yearly revenue into your monthly revenue and help you dominate and scale your business right now. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to helping you scale your business this year. Let's go. Yeah, dude. And bro, like what you mentioned about Andy, of like people hate on him online and all this stuff. And I was at one of his events here in Montreal, and he was talking about like people always make fun of him for the short shorts and stuff, and he's like, dude, the reason I do that is because people will make fun of me and comment on my post, which will reach more people and allow me to impact more people by the people it reaches. And I'm like, bro, that's just like a whole new level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do something silly.
Yeah, dude. Like, bro, I remember even I had this ad up from PCA 2024 where we actually first met in person. And dude, I had skinny jeans on and everything. And in my comments, like, there's a ton of painters just ripping into me, bro. Like, that was our best performing ad. So I'm like, bro, bring it on. I'll embrace it. And then the talk about my pants where my ankles are showing and the skinny jeans and the short shorts. I'm like, bro, freaking bring it on, dude. Now I'm just embracing that all into PaintCon. I'm like, let's roll.
Yeah, let's do it. No, I mean, I've had situations too. Like, I actually thought it was really scary. My first ever marketing company that I hired, I got nothing but hatred on my ads, and I was like, this is really alarming. Like, I was like, we should take these down. I didn't want that image out there. And it wasn't like, oh, you did a bad paint job. It was just like, these colors are freaking hideous. Why would you do that? Like, or like, clearly you don't know what you're doing. Why would you paint a house blue and the roof is, red, or like just some stupid comments,
Yeah.
And at the time, that person was just like, it's traction. This is what
It is.
we need people to click, comment, and like.
Yeah, dude. There's a
And slowly it weeded out,
there's a fine line between like what's an acceptable negative comment and what's like absolutely absurd. That's just like, and dude, what's crazy is the ads that get the most comments, positive or negative, are always the ads that perform the best because Facebook as a platform sees it as an engagement. It doesn't analyze this is a positive one, this is a negative one. All it sees is people are commenting and they want to promote because at the end of the day, it's a social platform, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if people are commenting, as long as it's not something like, absurd, like racist or insulting or whatever, if it's just like, oh, I would have kept those cabinets brown, it's like,
Yeah.
that's probably the top performing ad. You know what I mean? That's just how it works.
No, I mean it's 100% makes sense, and it's good for for our business. I was thinking about it on a whole nother level just for a split second, but I was like, there's so much negativity in the world, and it just kind of clicked in my head just now. I'm like, everything we see on Facebook and Instagram, all this bad stuff like that we do not need to see, that kids do not need to see, is on there because the algorithm's reaching all those clicks, comments, likes, shares, reposts. Like, so yeah, that just off topic, but kind of clicked for a second for me. But yeah, I mean, just like he says, you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's like do you remember like Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like his material, it grew kind of very like like two different groups. People either loved him or they just absolutely hated him. But it was the people that hated him that gave him the most engagement with all these different comments, and that part is what really blew him up, is because all those people commenting all that mean stuff allowed him to reach an audience of people that loved his stuff and soaked his stuff up.
Right.
And it's like so many people out there, like politicians, like people love them or they hate them, but usually it's the people that hate that like actually get them out to reach more people, and they think they're doing all these amazing things by commenting. Like, I hate those colored cabinets, but it's like, wow, that's actually allowing us to reach even more customers. So yeah, man. So yeah, yeah, dude, it's important not to let that stuff get to you. It's but you gotta just like protect yourself and be like, yeah, these people are commenting, but like that has nothing to do with who I am as a person or business I run. It's like our clients chose that color anyway. So
Yeah, that sparks another thought in my head of, battles and things I've had to overcome, and coming, speaking about my mom and how I was raised and things like that. Showing emotion, maybe not necessarily who I am. But being emotional in my head can be a lot of who I am.
Yeah.
And what I mean is like that was a big bottleneck and still is to this day. I'm constantly trying to refine that part of me. Because whether it's sales or it's culture in your company and being, perceived as like, a good boss, somebody who cares, who always does the right thing, whatever, or it's I'm charging $12,000 for this interior paint job, and in the back of my head, I'm emotional about the price, saying I would never do that for my own house. Like, so you get emotional over pricing, you get emotional over people in your company, liking you or not, talking about the balance of being a boss who holds people accountable, but also respected and liked by, the employees. So yeah, emotion is huge, and that's part of a lot of the stuff I think.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about. Nobody talks about the mental war that's going on in your head every day, when being a business owner. So that's a lot of inside stuff that people are consuming that I'm consuming myself. But that ties into a whole nother topic of health and working out and staying on top of your own self-development to overcome those limitations and those fears.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think for me, like from PainCon, the most impactful part of that entire event was when we're presenting the FMMC awards and people were sharing their stories, bro. Dude, I was trying so hard not to freaking just break down, like they hear someone almost lost their house, or it's just like,
Yeah.
whoa, right? So, yeah, man, I hear what you mean there.
Yeah, knowing what you and props to you for that, man. Your whole team has blessed so many people, including myself, and that is huge. Like I said, like just sitting there listening to it, some of that might have been the first time you ever heard that.
It was, dude.
Yep. And that's big time. That is big time hearing stuff like that impacting people as a whole. So yeah, I'm all for that. That's the stuff I love, man. I love doing that, and that ties back to why I even started a business, because I've been through the bad boss. I've been through the company that don't care. I've been through that, company that just has a cap and you can't go nowhere. Just and there should be endless opportunity where you want to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah. My goal with Ford Media is to build as many entrepreneurs as possible. Of like, dude, I mean, I was just talking to one of our team members today of like, look, like everybody has different motivations. Some people it's more stability of like, I just need, enough to pay for what I want, and that makes me happy. Some people have that financial motivation where it's like they want to make more and build more and whatever. It's like your goal as the leader is to shape each of their dreams and make your dream big enough to hold each of their dreams inside of it.
yeah,
Right. So whatever their motivation is, like, if you want to keep them around, if you want to, if they're worth keeping around, freaking have a vision big enough to encapsulate all of that for them.
right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like maybe knew the idea of that, but I didn't really grasp it 100% until PainCon, because I definitely heard that, a few times. And the one thing I did, like as soon as I got back, was one thing that Andy Elliott said, and that was, if there's somebody in this room that needs to have that conversation now with your team back at home about like, I apologize, I haven't held myself to that standard, you need to have that conversation. I think I did that like 4 days after I got home, because I was like, it felt great. It was tough. It was definitely tough to stand in front of 8 or 10 of them, however many it was, and say that. And I think some of them might have understood me. But just the fact that I knew I had to get that out, and knowing like it's okay to do that, it doesn't mean that I've like necessarily failed, or, I'm not a great, owner of this company. But in order to get from 1 million to 3 to 5 to 10, that's the stuff you got to do. That's the accountability you have to hold yourself to get to that next level. And certain things that were said at PaintCon didn't take much for it to click in my head. I tell everybody that coaches me, mentors me, asks me questions, like, I'm a person that I feel like I got a lot of it up here. You just like, I kind of have to hear it from somebody to believe it, and that's a little bit of a problem. I've admitted that. Like, I need to believe in myself and know that I can accomplish this. But that's why I go to those events. Like, I go there because that it always gives me that extra push every time.
Yep.
Like for many, but we always talk about not many people go back home and put that stuff into action. Don't go there and waste $4 or $5 and go back home and be the same person. It's
And then all you did was just take away from your family, or take away from your team.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you go to events and you don't take action, don't go to the event. I'm sorry, like, don't go to the event unless your business is absolutely perfect. But not even Amazon is perfect. Like, there's still stuff that needs to be sorted, right? So
yeah, and for those that are listening that are maybe new to that and trying to figure out if they should go to those, go to a few, because the first thing I ever went to was the PCA, and that's one of the biggest corporate style conventions that's out there, and it was overwhelming at first. As a new business owner, it's like I didn't even know who to talk to. I didn't even know the questions to ask. I didn't want to be looked at like you don't even know what you're talking about, things like that.
But as you go to more of these things, gathering of painters, Sherwin events with other business owners, just any type of like networking of business owners, specifically in the painting industry, like you finally start to realize like have it's not a vacation. Like you start realizing how you actually have to operate at these things to make it effective for you and your business. And PaintCon this year was one of the biggest for me because it was like, not only did I get to bring my wife to see exactly what I was like investing myself into, but also like we had a plan going into the event, like what we wanted to learn, what key things we wanted to take from it. Other times I was just like, oh, this is exciting. I'm an owner. I'm gonna go hang out and kick the shit with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, no. Like, yes, there's time and a place for that, but when it's time to dial in, it's time to dial in. And so that was huge for us this year because I felt like I came back with so much more than any other event that I've ever been to so far.
Let's go, dude.
Yes,
Go.
so shout out to you for throwing that on, man. I couldn't even imagine like putting something like that together. That's big time.
Yeah,
But
it was awesome, dude. It was so much fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm glad you came, and I'm glad you brought Kayla too, because I mean, dude, your partner is the person you spend the most time with, right? And if
Yeah.
they're not understanding of how much of a vision you have, or they're not understanding of like they don't have clarity on the vision you have, bring them to events like this so they can understand why you're doing what you're doing, and putting in 14, 16, 18-hour days. It's like it just starts to make a little bit more sense, and then that support level begins to change too, right? Of now she's holding you accountable or he's holding her accountable, right? Like it starts to shift the dynamic a little bit. So I'm a big advocate of bring your partner with you, bring your team with you, right? Because if you show up and you come back at 120% energy and they're at 80%, you're gonna top down, right? So, dude, bring your freaking team with you, bring your spouse with you, like bring the people that are a part of your mission with you, and they will leave with that same energy and clarity that you have, and you'll just execute with perfection. And that's what it's all about, man. So yeah, dude, I love that you enjoyed it, man. And next year is gonna be even bigger and better. So I'm so fired up.
yeah. No, I mean, one last thing about that, like honestly, if you need that push, like go to these events with somebody that you know really has your back. If that's your operation manager, if that's your best friend, if that's your wife, your girlfriend, whoever that person is for you, bring that person, because I know one thing that I probably honestly would not have done if I went to PinkCon this year alone is like investing decisions.
Mm.
The decisions that I made that I invested into while I was at PinkCon, like I can't remember how many times I pulled out my credit card to like buy one of those packages or like this coaching moment or this or that. I just literally was so dialed in, and I just would look over at Kayla and be like, we should do it, right? And getting that one last reassurance of like, yeah, sounds great. I didn't think twice. You know,
Yeah.
I came out of there with a business coach. I came out of there with a whole playbook. I came out of there with uh people that were there that were speaking, that were offering all their services, you know, and I didn't think twice about the dollar.
Yeah.
And that's something big for me because coming from that employee to that business owner, you get stuck in that 9 to 5 compensation mindset versus now you're a CEO, and that we don't need to save every last dollar. We need to invest.
Yeah.
So that's I'll sum that up right there. That you got to bring somebody that supports you, because it will help you come out of it tenfold.
Amen, dude.
For
Amen. I love that, bro. I love that. Well, look, man, I appreciate you, dude. You got such an incredible freaking story, and you're just such a great guy. So I'm happy to have you here, and I'm grateful to be able to call you a friend. And dude, one last question. Okay. Going back to like 2018 Nick, right? If you could tell 2018 Nick one single piece of advice, what would it be?
I'm gonna say the same advice I gave myself in 2018, and that is to block out all the noise and take 6 months on you.
Yeah.
6 months, 100% invested on you. I mean, at that time, I didn't have nobody. I had friends. I was not in no major relationship, no major career. I was lost.
Mhm.
And so I knew that that's like what it took. I always followed influencers that I heard all the same stories, all the same hardships they went through to find success. And there was a common denominator in all of them, and it was you. Focus on you for 6 months and watch what happens. So if you're listening and you either need to start a business or you're in a tough spot in your business, take 6 months, hyper focus, put in the work, and then look back when you said that and see what happens. That's what I did. That's what I did in 2018, and that's when everything in my life changed.
I love it, dude.
All
Bet
right,
on yourself, bro. I think that's a huge thing, man. I love it.
that's it. That's
Awesome,
it.
bro. Nick, I
Thanks,
appreciate you, bro.
I
Thank you, man. If
appreciate the opportunity to come on here and share my story. Hopefully it reaches somebody. Hopefully somebody else wants to have me on their podcast. So hit me up. But no, Lucas, truly, man, you've been a blessing to me. So thank you again.
dude, right back at you, bro. Love you, bro. Say hi to Kayla for me, and man, we'll kick some ass at the next event. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Love you too, bro.
All right, ciao, bro.